Alright, so where did I leave off? Looks like I got most of the helicopter built. So while I was off camera, I put the side plates on. I left off, I was working on the landing skids. Put the side plates on. Okay. I did have to mount these little pods, but I did not have to I did with them. Well, anyway, I don't even know where I put them, but I had to. You have to mount these pods on the side, but the rockets bolt underneath, so I can do that later. So I got the tail belt in, got it right on the first time. Started to loom these wires. So I just wanted to go over a few things before I get into it. So first of all, I found out where this back plate goes. And let me see if I could try to focus in on it. This is where it goes. It goes from the tail boom mount to the tail skids, to the landing skid, excuse me. So that was easy. The tail boom, you have to mount the tail boom onto the main frame before these side plates, because the bolts are covered with these plates. So that wasn't so. A couple of things interesting about these goblins, and they've always been like that really, but so they really, you know, work it so that, you know, you could, for instance, here, this is the fly barless tray, and these little rubber mounts, and yeah, so it's dampened. But then this little tray here, okay, you don't have to put it on, but if you're using a separate receiver, like I probably will be, you could put this on. So, you know, say you were using a Neo, or say a Brain with 2 satellites, you wouldn't really need this. But if you're using something like a Spectrum, like a B-Stacks for instance, like I'm going to use, you can't use just one satellite with all this carbon. So you could put your receiver here, your fly barless controller there, and run your satellite somewhere. Same thing here. This tray right here, says in the book, if you're using a separate 2S pack, you can mount this piece of carbon fiber here, and that put your 2S pack on there. So it's really cool. It's like they thought of everything, you know. Now I did email SAB again about this to ask them, is this fiberglass or carbon fiber? And they came back and said the entire thing is carbon fiber. So there's the answer. Now, the reason I wanted to do that is because when I was drilling these holes for this, it was coming out black, not like fiberglass. Didn't drill like fiberglass normally drills. So I guess the whole thing is carbon fiber, which could explain some of the cost, I guess. So going up front, I got my Hobbywing 200 out, and I was just playing around with this. And this is another thing. I mean, they give you this ESC tray, and I mean, it's like it lines up perfect. I'll be able to use 3 bolts. 2 up here and 1 right there, which is more than enough. And then this whole assembly bolts up here, like so. So everything is like, they just lend itself to making everything fit, no matter what components you use, you know. I laid the motor belt in there, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to take these side plates back off, which is really just these 4 bolts right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, loosen those bolts or take them out, and then these mechanics will slide right out of there. And the reason I'm saying that is I'm not going to be able to fit the motor and this. If you're using an 8mm shaft, you don't need this. If you're using a 6mm shaft, you kind of need it. So with this on there, I'm not going to be able to feed it. Remember, the motor is going to be mounted on this plate, so you got to kind of do it together. So I'll probably have to take that off again. And these fans are for the speed control. If I want to use them, I probably won't need them. So let's see, anything else? That's everything. The other one other thing I wanted to clear up is I did mention that on the road ahead it takes 280s and 290s. Well, it's actually 3 O-rings, and then the dampener is back here, so you can adjust the feel of the head by changing these O-rings, 90 or 80. But it's not 4 O-rings, it's 3 O-rings and then the damper. Just want to make sure I get it right for what I'm saying. So that's it. So next, what I'm going to do is get my receiver tray mounted. Mounts right there. And I'll get my Micro Beast out and start. Well, I'll get the motor mounted. I'll get the motor in next, and then I'll get this mounted. And there's not really a whole lot to do here, honestly. And I still got to build the head, but once I get this in, I can get this swash plate level and all that stuff. So I'll be back. Hopefully this video won't be quite as long. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've gone pretty far with this thing, and just check in with what I've done so far. I've got the motor, I've got this in here just for some ballast, keep it from falling backwards. I got the motor mounted, which was easier than I thought it would be. Yeah, there's so much adjustment on this plate that, you know, you just slide this plate all the way forward, and then the belt just basically falls right on. So that was actually easy. Fits in there very well. I just had a little bit of a fit getting the belt so that it tracks just right on the main pulley here. Let me see. Yeah. Just to get this so it tracks just right on there, you know, you got to move the motor pulley up and down, and I finally got it just where I like it. There's a little bit showing on the bottom, a little bit showing on the top. So just right there with the speed controller. Couldn't have been any easier, really. 3 bolts. The holes are already in the plate, so it's really a piece of cake. I still have to solder on my EC5 connectors, or connector. I'll probably just do it this way because there's so much room up here. I'll probably just put one on and then run my batteries series. So, and then you got this cable raceway here, which just is just totally awesome. I mean, the cables from the speed control. Oh, this is for my flight pack voltage too, which I will connect that. Speed control wires, 2 servo wires, and just fits, and they're perfect. I mean, it's really, really nice. So back here is the only part I'm not totally happy with, but there's not a whole lot really I can do. So I just have this taped here. They give you this little plastic thing to hold your antennas And I'm not sure if I'm going to use this like this or maybe cut some off. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with that yet, so I just have it taped there. But as far as the fly barless controller is mounted back here, and my receiver is there. Now I'm using a single line receiver. This is the first time I've ever actually done this. I'm using the SRXL sort of feature, if you will, where you got your microbeats and then you plug. Let me see if I could zoom in again. Right there. Right there. You plug in this special cable into the side of the microbeast, and then it goes into the SRXL port on the receiver, and that's the only wire that goes to the receiver. And then the receiver will get your XRXL2 remote, which I'll mount somewhere outside. Not totally sure yet. Zoom back out. And that's it. So this wire is my 2S pack, which basically I just stuck it out here. It's going to basically, see if we can flip this over. And there's my swash plate. And this wire will this is where the 2S pack will go. And so this wire will be, I just have to make sure it's out of the way of everything, the tail belt mainly. So, oh yeah, and then the rockets I can put on later. So that is it. At this point I have to get my, let's see, this tray that I put aside before. I've got to get my 3 links built for the swash, and then get my head built, which is already built. Basically it's just a matter of putting this head block on, and then feathering shaft with my dampers, and these are the bolts to bolt it down with, and all that, get all that done, and then basically go through the fly barless setup, which I'll do off camera. There's so many setup videos that if you wanted to see that, you can find them there. Tons of them out there, so I don't have to bore anybody with that. And then I will have to get my hobby wing. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. My hobby wing program box, so I could go through the programming on the speed controller. Excuse me. And there's really not a whole lot left to do. So next time when I come back, I should have my rotor head on. It might be just one more video, one more cut in, basically one more little segment before this thing is done. Maybe it's one more to see how the canopy mounts. This basically just, this is so nice. Magnets. They give you grommets and little pushing things for here. So that's it. This battery, this is an old, this LiPo. This is still a good battery. This was in an F86 that I was flying, went in nose first, and that's how it came out. It's actually still a good battery, believe it or not. Now I use it for a counterweight. So that's it. I will come back, have my rotor head, have my links, my rotor head on, and maybe have the fly barless controller programmed. Figure out what I'm going to do with these antennas. And we are getting real close now. So I'll be back. Alright, so I am just about done with this thing. Really the only thing left now is just to clean up the rest of my wires, get all that tidied up the way it's going to be, and then get the canopy out. There's a couple of little things to do to the canopy, get the grommets in, and let's see. Yeah, put the grommets in and these little push button lock thingies. So, a couple things I wanted to point out. One thing is really cool. Let's see if I can get this in the camera. Let's see. They've got not only the 0 pitch marks, but they've got plus 13, minus 13. You almost don't even need a pitch gauge anymore. I mean, not really, but you still need a pitch gauge, of course, but it's like, that's pretty cool. Like, why not add all that stuff on there, right? So, that I thought was pretty cool. I've got the fan on the ESC, although I don't know it's going to fit under the canopy. I haven't even tried to fit that yet, so I'll find out about that here shortly. I did not use this little 3D printed antenna guide. This thing is supposed to double-sided tape it right here on top of the servo. I didn't use it because these antennas are not quite long enough to reach through this. I'm still up in the air what I'm going to do with these little coaxial antennas. I might just use this as the Mikado thing. I just don't know how I'm going to handle that yet. I'll have to make a decision here very shortly. But other than that, that's it. Now, as far as the head goes, building the head while it's on the helicopter, I have to say, was a little bit of a pain in the butt. I think it would have been easier to do it, they said, like if you have one of those swash levelers that go underneath the swash, then you could probably build the whole thing, level the swash, you know, and get your links on and everything. But in my case, I've got this align thing, so I had to go over the top, so I had to wait, and then putting the dampers in and getting all this stuff on while it's sitting like this was a little bit of a pain. No big deal, but probably would have been easier if it was just this part of the frame. It does take, let me see, let me move this out of the way. I want to show one thing in the manual. So, this I thought was interesting. Come down. So, we're looking at the Genesis book. If you look here, this is 2.5 by 18. Right? Oh, I see. Okay. No, it's not. If you look at this, okay, they're showing you the entire length of the link, where here it's ball to ball 37 millimeters. I was thinking that this is contradicting itself, but this is to the center of the ball and this is to the end. I got a little confused on this because you get to the rotor head, here, it's right here on top. These are all the things that they give you instead of what's with the 700. So you get these 2.5 by 40 millimeter rods instead of this little rod. And I was thinking, man, this is going to be way too long. Like it's not gonna work. But you come back with the helicopter. This thing barely fits on here. I'm trying to get this in the frame. Let me zoom out. That'll help. This link here. Basically, what you need to do with this link is you take these ball links and thread them all the way down until they stop on both sides. And they're just about the right length. There's literally no adjustment. In order to get this, the length that they say to get them in the book, you got to thread the links all the way in until they bottom out. There's some adjustment here. I gotta tell you, this thing, it was almost perfect. These links, like they said, I put it right at 0 pitch when I was at my neutral pulse of my servos. So really, really nice the way it's set up. I did go through the fly barless setup and initial setup, so that's ready. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the canopy out. And let me move this one more time. Get the canopy out. Really, the only thing you have to do here is take these little grommets and fit them in these holes, and they want you to CA these, very lightly CA these things into the grommets so they don't fall out when you put them on. And then we'll find out how this fits on there. So I think I'm gonna do probably one more little segment and give some, like a final overview of the entire build, and try to think of anything else that I wanted to mention about it. But overall, this thing's about ready. I did strap some batteries on the battery tray. The battery tray. Oh, that is one other thing that I'm not really sure about. I think I'll go ahead and weigh this thing too. One thing I'm not... Oh, it sounds like it just locked in. I was about to say that... Yeah, those are the batteries moving. Or is it? Yeah, those are the batteries moving. Okay. I was about to say that the battery tray does not lock in. When I turned it up like that, it locked in. So what do? You lift this. Oh yeah, okay. I get you. I don't know if I could see it, but... There it is, right here. It's a little eccentric, and this little piece of carbon fiber just lifts up. So I can't do it with one hand, but lift, pull, and then lift. There. And then you push the tray in and it snaps. Okay, because they mention in the manual about being sure that that's locked. And they say you can tighten this up by turning this little eccentric. So that's it. So when I come back next time, I might take the helicopter, take the camera down off that pod and and give some final overview of the entire build. I'll have the whole entire thing ready to test fly, and that's it. It's really been a nice, fun build. Not a whole lot to it, honestly. So I'll be back. All right, there it is. The finished product. Finally got it done. And I brought the helicopter into my kitchen because there's no way I could film the entire thing on my workbench. But as you can see, I got it, everything set up. Everything is working. Tail. So, just wanted to do like a final thought type of thing on the build overall, and go over just a few things. There's not a lot. I gotta be honest, this thing is truly a work of art. It really is. As far as the build goes, there were no parts missing. Every single little nut, washer, and bolt was there. Sometimes I thought maybe something was missing, and then it was just found it in another bag, or just a matter of following the directions, to be honest. So I've got my receiver pack just hanging out down here. I'm doing this one with one hand, so I'm gonna unplug this. Shut off my transmitter. And we'll take a look. So the missiles are really cool. Definitely are. They look real. They screw in with machine bolts up into this plastic pod here. But really nice little touch there. I like it. The canopy goes on and comes off really easy. I'm going to try to do it with one hand and show you guys. So they're just the little push button things. Push, pull, that's one. It's similar to like a Mikado Align. Let me get this one. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. And then it's got a, look at how easy that comes off. And then of course the blades have to be in that direction. Sorry, doing this with one hand, guys. And that's it. Very nice. I've got my batteries mounted. The receiver pack will go all the way in the back. I don't know if I can get the tray out with one hand, but I could sure try. I don't think I'm able to do this with one hand. I did do it with one hand. Look at this. This is awesome. So let's see if we could take a look. That tray right there is where the 2S pack mounts. The only thing I could see a problem is going to be plugging it in. You might have to plug it in before you put the flight pack in, or like I did, maybe, I don't know if this will work, but I moved the little EC3 plug outside. You know, it's just, there's really nothing bad to say about this thing. You know, the only thing really that I wish they would do, SAB, is come up with a way to tension these belts with a, you know, like a bolts like the TB70. They have this little threaded bolts that you thread in and it will pull the motor. Same thing with the tail. The tail you tighten it down here. This tail, in order to tighten, I still have to adjust this, but they give you what they call a zigzag method, where you loosen, you keep these two tight, you would loosen this bolt, and then how do you do it? No, you would keep this tight. I forget how you do it. You loosen one side, push it with your thumb, then tighten it, then loosen the other side, push it, and basically you're doing and walking it out until the belt is tight, which I think it's good right there, but I don't know that this is perfectly 90, so that's one thing I'm going to have to check before I fly it. So the only thing really I've got to do here is do my set up my throttle curves and set the governor standardization that you do with the Hobby Wing ESCs, and that you do when you get to the field. So I will have a video on this thing, first test, eventually. It might be a couple weeks because the weather is just so wonderful here. Very windy and rainy and just freaking nasty. So, one other thing too I wanted to mention too, on the manual, I always complained about the manual. In the early days, they had like black lines going into a black frame, and you really couldn't tell like where the bolt exactly went. But it seems like they fixed that. They have the same pictures, but now they have the lines of red, so you can just trace the red line all the way into where it has to go. And I thought that was really nice. The manuals are, everybody knows these are probably some of the best manuals that there are, So that's about it. Next time you see this thing, it'll be hovering, hopefully. And if you actually watched this entire series, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll try to do some more build videos on whatever's next. But for now, I appreciate everybody checking it out, and we'll see you at the field, hopefully. Take care.